What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Actin Bad broadcast, episode 5. Took last week off, a lot of playoff action. Realistically, I was just hiding from y'all because episode 4, I started making some picks. And hours right after the picks I was making, teams was getting bounced. So I was over there in hiding. We back now. I'm ready to make my state picks. A lot of Alamo Dome action. A lot of stuff happened last week. So let's get right into it. Yeah, it's playoff time, and playoff time goes so fast. You're like, all right, this is phase 3. We've been waiting all year for playoffs. Then bam, 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 bam. First round's done that Friday. Second round's done. Then you get into Tuesdays to send you to regionals. Then you in regionals. It's back-to-back games. It's just nonstop action. As a videographer, I have a lot of FOMO about this game's over here, this game's over here. For the first time in, I think, ever, I put the camera down and I just turned on streams and was just looking at basketball all over the place. I incorporated the hashtag chaos, and there was plenty of it. Chaos was kind of just like last second shots, down to the wire games, and there was just chaos going all over the place. But yeah, a lot of Alamo Dome action. Before we get into some of the bulk of it, I wanted to shout out all the teams that are going to be in San Antonio this weekend at State. It doesn't matter if this is your first time going to State or you've been there many a times. Getting there, man, it's so magical. I didn't get a chance to get there. One of those situations my senior year where we were 36-1 going into playoffs, and we were like, all right, we had dreams that we were going to get there, and all of a sudden, boom, regional semifinals gone. So I'm so excited for all these teams, that celebration, that locker room lit. But yes, let's start at 1A and move our way up. Jayton, Benjamin, Gordon, Fayetteville, 1A representatives going to go at it Thursday and Friday. 2A, New Home, Lipan, Shelbyville and Thrale. 3A, Holiday, Ponder, Hitchcock, and San Antonio, Cole. 4A, Oak Cliff Family, Silsbee, Canyon Randall, and Stafford. 5A, Lancaster, Amarillo, San Antonio Veterans Memorial, Killeen, Ellison. And 6A, Plano East, Beaumont United, Stony Point, Mansfield, Lake Ridge. Comment below if you're a fan of those teams. A lot of big name teams, and some teams that are going to get a chance to get that state stuff right away. Just an awesome time. I'm just looking at these teams right here. Whew, those brackets is going to be fun. But yeah, let's move into winning time real quick before we dive into my picks. Like I said, it was just overwhelming. I did make some drives. A couple of the games I saw, Kimball versus Frisco Lone Star. I saw that during the playoffs. I drove down to the Buda area. I saw San Antonio Veterans Memorial versus Leander Rouse, which is probably one of my favorite games back and forth. I even got a chance to see some TAPS games as well. Went to the Region 2, 5A as well. I was everywhere, but the streaming was the best because I was just clicking through different streams and seeing just chaos happening. But just a couple of my winning time moments from regionals. So one thing I'll pat my back on is I did pick Killeen Ellison to get to state, and Jojo McIver made me look real good. Because when we talk about winning time, that game against Fort Bend Marsh was back and forth, 42-42, and luckily for Killeen Ellison, they had the ball for the final shot, and the ball's in Jojo McIver's hand.
Here at the Berry Center, down to 11. McIver waiting, down to 9, feeding it to Parks. Now back to McIver, 6 seconds. McIver with 5. McIver driving in. McIver for the game. He got it! He got it with 0.3 seconds remaining. Ellison may have just punched their ticket to San Antonio for the second year in a row. McIver with 5. McIver driving in. McIver for the game. He got it! He got it with 0.3 seconds remaining.
So they're at the Berry Center in Cypress ISD. I cover their tournament every year, the ISD event. Love that gym. Plays are always made in that gym, and Jojo McIver made a big-time play. The one thing I love about this play was majority of your dudes know I'm taking the last shot. So he knew I'm getting this off. And he got into a little bit of, I mean, the defense knows who's taking the last shot too. But the way he was able to get on balance after he got into some traffic, because they're going to run guys. They're going to dare you to pass the ball. But just his pace and his ability to stay on balanced with the shot fake, the leaning, game. I love that so much. I was watching on the stream, and you can just feel it all right there from the stream, and that's what I love about these playoff games, man. Jojo McIver, you my boy are acting bad. My next one, so this was another game. That Silsbee versus Houston Washington game at Bryan High School. We've ran a lot of GASOs at Bryan, so when I'm at Bryan High School, they don't have the bleachers out on the floor, but they did for this game, so you could just tell from where the camera was. You saw both fan bases down there, dang near courtside. Back and forth game. Was one of my favorite games just to watch on stream. Another one where you can just get the vibe and the energy from it. But there was one play that I saw on stream, but I'm going to use my boy Forever Young Films clip here. But Jared Harris, big-time boys make big-time plays in big-time moments. So, yeah, it was, I think, midway. It was either third quarter or fourth quarter. I know it was second half. But every time Washington would make a play, crowd would erupt. Silsbee back and forth. But I feel like this play right here was like, oh, this is real momentum. First of all, before I'm going to pause it right there. The gather with one hand and then to want to go dunk it with two tells you on that big boy status. This right here, I mean, even like if you're a fan of basketball, I know like you see a little bit in the background that Houston, Washington was like, dang. Okay, fourth quarter, 7 minutes, 30 seconds to go. Silsbee was up 5, and in the game, if you're watching that 5 is not even, you can't be feeling comfortable about that. So this play right here set the tone to finish the game strong for Silsbee. The crowd erupts. This is my favorite part right here. Let me see the dude in the stands. Unbelievable. That's probably the most Actin bad celebration I've ever seen. Bro, what? Let me see. He committed to the fall, too. I'm telling you, they was courtside, which is crazy. But just one of those moments right there. Jared Harris, one of the top players in the state of Texas. The senior, we got to go do something. I got to go make a play to give us all the momentum. And he did that right there. Jared Harris, you're acting bad, but not badder than the celebration. And my boy on the courtside's tripping. Shout out to you, though, big dog. And then I saved my best for last. Tim Littlefield, GASO Tim, said the shot heard around the state. Devon Hewitt, Stony Point. If you're a fan of basketball and you live in the state of Texas, you knew Region 4 was just a wild, wild, wild time to be at regionals. And that's Stony Point Brennan. I mean, shout out to Daniel all day for filming that game for me and covering it. But, I mean, good gosh, that game was just unbelievable. But somebody has to win it. And if you're going to win it, you're going to hit a walk-off. I mean, there was no other way that this game was going to end but a walk-off with heroics. And you've probably seen this clip a lot of times. But, I mean, just... I mean, I'm sure you want to run something probably. I mean, everybody thinks Josiah Moses is going to get the ball. Uzziah Button landing short. Goodlet. But Devon, I mean, name got called. Walked into it. I mean, you're a legend for the rest of your life, bro. I mean, shoot, I had a shot for us to tie it to go to regional finals. And let's just say my senior year, I wasn't a hero. So, I mean, you take it, you make it, whatever happens, but you got the opportunity, big dog, and shoot. Stony Point's rolling to the finals or to the state tournament with absolute Alamo Dome action. And he had just missed a shot earlier in the game. So, I mean, shoot, man. Big dog status right there, Devon. That's crazy. By far, that game, post the thumbnail right here, that game, you got to go watch the game recap, man, on our channel. Unbelievable. Whew. One of the best games. I wasn't even there, and I know it's one of the best games since I've been covering basketball. So, yeah, that's my winning time. Let's move into freestyle. I just want to kind of talk about some things. You won't see as many clips here. But then again, I'm going to edit this after, so who knows what you're going to see. But right now, I'm not looking at anything. I'm just talking. And just on my freestyle thoughts was the Colony's coming. That sophomore trio of Xavier Green, Dakari Spear, and Bryce Dixon, once you get momentum early on in the season as sophomores, you're like, okay, yeah, they're for real, but can they do it in the playoffs and lead their teams on deep runs? It was a similar question when Case and Wallace and Ryland Griffin were sophomores for Richardson, and they made a deep run as well. And shout out to the Colony for making that deep run, getting to the regional final. Just every single game in playoffs for those sophomores and freshmen. There's a lot of freshmen as well that made some big-time leaps in playoffs. And, like, playoff experience just elevates your game and your mindset, especially as the younger players, to get that experience. So shout out to the Colony. They're coming. I mentioned I was at TAPS. Zach Day is the gamer of all gamers. And that game I covered, I haven't posted on YouTube yet, but I'm still working on some things. We had our next-gen camp over the weekend as well, so I have a lot of editing to do. But Zach Day got his lick back on Austin St. Michael's, who knocked them out last year in the playoffs. And then they take that momentum after beating Austin St. Michael's, and Midland Christian goes all the way to the final and wins TAPS. So shout out to them. Zach Day, still unsigned. He don't need to be for much longer because that's a bad dude. I mentioned the Colony made their deep run. Well, it was halted by Dillon Battie and Lancaster. And Dillon Battie, one of more just senior dominant performances. His stat line's great, but it was just his will. And it was like, I'm going to the rim and I'm going to assert myself every single possession. And it was just like, you see Lancaster, you saw Dillon Battie, you're like, oh, he's not being stopped. So now he takes that show back down to San Antonio for a Lancaster team that wants all the Alamo Dome action. So shout out to you, Dillon. A lot of the headlines were the 41 points in 9 minutes, but I think we can push that headline aside and say Lancaster to state, because that's what it's all about. Respecting the runs. These are some teams where you look and you're like, all right, we don't know if you're supposed to be here, but you got here and we respect that. Clear Springs made it to the regional final, lost a back-and-forth thriller to Beaumont United. Rockwall. Rockwall's run, I saw shout out to the best. They said shout out to the best boys program in school history. Rockwall's had some dudes come through, so what a run for them. Edinburgh Vela. Anytime you get a Valley team for a chance to get to the regional final, shout out to them. Knocked off San Antonio Wagner, lost to San Antonio Veterans Memorial in the final. Keller. Everybody was like, oh, Brooks Barr's hurt. Y'all done. Well, shoot, Keller, I saw you on our GASO Fall Classic without Brooks, so I knew y'all was going to have a chance to be real special in that playoffs. I didn't know it was going to be this special. Stevie Ramirez, one of probably the best performances of the playoffs when they knocked off North Crowley, get all the way to that regional final. And that game with Plano East, y'all have nothing to hold your head about, because it was probably one of the closer games. Plano East, they had to play in the fourth quarter, which is saying a lot when you've seen the way this Plano East team is. So shout out to you, Keller. And then San Antonio O'Connor. When I was looking at the brackets, I'm like, yeah, that San Antonio O'Connor team, man. That San Antonio O'Connor Lake Travis game was always going to be a trap game, because subconsciously, if you're Lake Travis, you knew what game was behind y'all. They were playing that 5 o'clock, 5:30 game in that regional semis, and then Brennan and Stony Point. So I don't think Lake Travis was like, yeah, let's go handle this and we'll see the winner tomorrow. But up 8 in a regional semifinal game. O'Connor storms all the way back. Tristan White hits a huge 3 to send to overtime. And Julian Barron, one of the most I mean, when you look at his stats throughout the playoffs, just an interior force, and won in overtime to win it. O'Connor gets the regional final and then lose to Stony Point. But, I mean, shoot, man, that's history being made right there for O'Connor. Crazy, crazy game. Another one of my YouTube game recaps. Bruh. Oh, electric atmosphere. You could see their crowd. Shout out to their crowd, that fan base. O'Connor, I might come see y'all play next year because that fan base and that cam over there was big time. So shout out to y'all. And then Dallas Pinkston makes the regional tournament after losing a loaded roster from last year with the likes of Dink Pate, Bryce Dixon, and Nunu, who moved over to Lancaster. So shout out to y'all to making a regional tournament. Yeah, shout out to that program. So now this is what y'all wanted me to do, so we're going to do it. I'm looking at my rundown right here. I have it just says my picks, 6A, 5A, 4A. Shout out to Lyndon Cook, GASO Lyndon. He's the guy when it comes to 3A, 2A, and 1A. So I ain't even going to play with him. You can see Lyndon's picks. I think in our GASO Fast Break newsletter, but I'm not even playing with those because I got enough on my plate trying to pick these 6A, 5A, 4A. So I have no picks. I don't even know who I'm picking. I'm looking at the brackets right now. I'm not putting an overlay here with the brackets because I'm the editor and I'm the talent. So I'm not doing all that extra editing. So right now, take a second, go pull up the brackets and look at them with me. So we here. Let's start 4A. Canyon Randall beats Canyon in one of those games that I was watching. I knew it was going to be a close one. I think they win by 3, 59-56. So you got Canyon Randall versus Silsbee. Canyon Randall 34-3, Silsbee 28-9. Oof. Both teams were in big-time regional finals, so I think that brings both teams a lot of momentum, knowing what a tough game's like. So this semifinal, I mean, give me give me a senior Jared Harris and Draylon Miller to lead the Silsbee team to the state final over Canyon Randall. I just think that Houston-Washington game really took them to that next step to where I think they're going to make a few more plays, and if it's close, give me the seniors right there. The big-time boys there over Canyon Randall. Stafford versus Oak Cliff Faith Family. Now, Faith Family, I saw them early on. I was like, all right, they got plenty of talent. Let me see how I just want to kind of see. I kind of want to see. And they pretty much told me, hey, see this, when they just absolutely took it to Dallas Carter in the regional final. So give me Oak Cliff Faith Family once again in that 4A. And then you got Silsbee versus Oak Cliff Faith Family. I just think Faith Family is a little more deep, so I'm going to go Faith Family as my 4A champion. It's a lot easier when I do these and I just like say it and I just move on, because then the more I start thinking, the more I'll start talking myself out of it. Because as much as I just said that, I was like, you know what, I love Canyon Randall a lot. Maybe I should go. But see, so we're just going to move on to 5A. Oak Cliff Faith Family, state champion for me. 5A. Ooh, here we go. Here we go. Ooh. 7 p.m. San Antonio Vets Memorial versus Killeen Ellison. Boy. These teams are very similar. They got their guards that can go. Their lead guards, Damarian Dennis versus Jojo McIver, is must-see. Devin McLeod, Sean Parks are two other complimentary guards in those teams that are like, oh, I'm going to have my time when y'all are going to know who I am. And then you have just depth on both sides, just nasty, physical dudes that are no nonsense. If McIver's in transition, we got guys finishing. We got guys hitting timely threes. Chris White for Killeen. Jere Mayweather for San Antonio Vets hitting threes. 40-1 San Antonio Vets Memorial, 34-5. Killeen Ellison. Both teams were here last year. Ooh. So I was at that San Antonio Vets Memorial game, and I was like, versus Leander Rouse, and I was like, man, after the game, Vets just finds a way, and Leander Rouse was up multiple times, and it's nothing sexy that San Antonio Vets do. They just, when it's there and it's time to win the game, they win the game. So as much as I love Jojo, McIver, and Sean Parks in that background, that Killeen Ellison, I did pick y'all to get here. I'm very thrilled, but I'm picking San Antonio Vets to win that game. And then Amarillo versus Lancaster. Amarillo beat El Paso Chapin in a low-scoring event. They just kind of did what they were supposed to do and handle business. Lancaster gets here with Dillon Battie leading the charge. Give me Lancaster there, man. I just love. There's a world where, see, here I go talking more. There's a world where I know Amarillo runs their stuff and runs it so to perfection. But I just think that I love the way Lancaster guarded versus Frisco Lone Star in that final, regional final. And I think Lancaster is going to have the depth and the ability to get some stops. And Amari Reed and Battie on the rim right there in the paint. Give me them in a close one, though. A close one. So we got Vets versus Lancaster. Oh, man. I told y'all, these are live. I don't know. I'm just picking live. Golly, man. San Antonio Vets Memorial versus Lancaster. Give me Vets Memorial, man. State champs. It doesn't matter if shots are going in. If you let Lancaster needs to beat them and beat them. If you let Vets be around in the fourth quarter, then I'm going to go Vets the whole time. And I think both teams will be a close game. And just somehow, whether it's a loose ball here or a shot or getting to the free throw line or making a run late, San Antonio Vets Memorial, you just open your eyes and like, wait, who did what, when, how, who? That's a W for San Antonio Vets Memorial. So give me them. 5A champions, San Antonio Vets Memorial. Oh, not confident with any of these, but hey, we ain't cowards on here. We saying these. 6A, Plano East versus Mansfield Lake Ridge. Mansfield Lake Ridge, one of those teams early on when they were first place in that district with Duncanville, Waxahachie. I'm like, they're the favorite. Then they lose to both those guys, and then they're not the favorite. Then they come in, I think, third place, and then they start making a run, just knocking people off one at a time. And guess what? Now they're back. Plano East. They had to play against Keller, which I think bodes well for them. They had to play for real. Mansfield Lake Ridge is one of those teams that's going to make Plano East play for real. Just a lot of physicalities, a lot of seniors, a lot of dudes on the court that are going to have to make plays. Physicality versus physicality. That Plano East team just has so much depth, and every single kid on that team wants that moment. And when we're talking about Alamo Dome action, I need a deep roster of guys that no matter when their name's called, is their time. And Plano East has just shown it more times than not, 38 times to be exact, because they're 38-0. So give me Plano East to beat Mansfield Lake Ridge. And then Round Rock Stony Point versus Beaumont United. Like we talked about, that Round Rock Stony Point Brennan game was the best game in the playoffs by far. Round Rock Stony Point got their lick back, but from last year in the playoffs, and a lot of times you get your lick back, you're satisfied. But I don't think Round Rock Stony Point is very satisfied. I think they got more work to be done, because especially they're in a bracket with Plano East that gave them the only loss this year. Beaumont United beats Clear Spring, goes through a gauntlet of Region 3. I think one of the deepest regions in 6A right there. Just every single game from the second round on was going to be a dogfight. Now, as I record this, I do not know the status of K. Dotson. I was watching that stream. He grabbed his hand or wrist and didn't return to that game late. So shout out to the Beaumont United for making plays down the stretch. But this is a quick turnaround time. Beaumont United's been there. They're battle tested. But for me to pick them, I need to know for sure that there's a healthy K. Dotson there. Just because when we're talking about dudes being dudes, he's a dude. So give me Round Rock Stony Point versus Plano East in the state championship on Saturday. And I mean, this was always going to be the kind of the collision course after what happened at the champions of tourney in Mansfield earlier this year when they played each other. 38-0 Plano East versus 37-1 Round Rock Stony Point. And what I say in this is I'm a big boxing fan. And when there's rematches of games, a lot of times it's a puncher with power versus the boxer. And it's always like, well, the power guy, how is the boxer going to handle being hit hard? So that was kind of the Plano East Round Rock Stony Point game 1. We knew that Stony Point had Josiah Mosley and some guards that could go, but Plano East we always just knew them as the tough physical. So Round Rock Stony Point got hit in the mouth. They have the talent. They're not going to go into that Plano East game a second time around being like, oh, what is this? You know, they're going to punch back and be ready for the moment right away. DJ Hall, over the course of the season, has taken that next step. I think he had over 30 against Keller. I mean, that collision between, and I'm also saying this, by the way, let me stop myself because I'm talking as if I'm previewing the state championship game that's already here. I'm just kind of daydreaming right now what that looks like if those two meet. So this is all just hypothetical, but Josiah Mosley, DJ Hall hitting each other straight in the mouth is just what you kind of want to see if they get to that game. I think both teams are going to be up for it. I think both teams battle tested late. Stony Point over Plano East. That's if Josiah Mosley can stay out of foul trouble and stay on the court as long as possible. Yeah. So we're going Stony Point in 6A. We're going. See, I already forgot. San Antonio. See, Lancaster, San Antonio Vets 5A. I'm going San Antonio Vets, and then 4A. I'm going Oak Cliff Faye Family. So those are my state picks. As soon as I press and record on this, I'm probably gonna change them. But comment below what your favorite game you saw at playoffs. Also, I didn't have enough time on my rundown because I want to get this out as soon as possible. Comment below on some of the dudes who went out on their shield, because that's an Actin bad trait, going out on your shield. Some of those seniors that had some deep playoff runs that came up short that you want to shout out. And just shout out your squads for all year long, that whether they won their first playoff game, they got as far as they've ever had as a program. Shout them out. Run the comments up. What a great time. What a great time to be a part of this all. Playoffs are an exciting time. It just feels like this whole season goes by so fast. So every minute that you get a chance to embrace it, embrace the journey. And I can't wait to see what state looks like this weekend. I'm going to head down to San Antonio, my hometown. If you're a fan of basketball and you're an adult over the age of 21, my boy has a little spot, Pastiche, down in San Antonio near the Alamodome area that you can pull up on my Instagram. I'm going to share the story. So excited for all the people to be in my hometown of San Antonio enjoying the state tournament. So good luck to all the teams. Congrats to everybody on a great season. If you're out of the playoffs now, the work starts now. So get right to it. You don't want to feel a defeat again if you can control it. So we'll be back next week, hopefully, for Actin Bad episode 6. But for now, I'm Michael Timmons. I film hoopers, and shout out to everybody that's acting bad out there.
Champagne for poppin'.